Please, this is Sasha from Terra Mater, and today I'm going to be doing a pick a card reading. I have three separate piles here. I'm going to be posting a photograph on my Instagram, sasha.pez, but I'll also be editing it into the video. That way you can pause the video and take a really good look at the piles. Before you proceed, I really want you to get into the elements, get into that intuitive nature. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Take one deep, long breath in from your nose and through your nose. I want you to feel it reaching every crack and corner of the body, every little crevice, every hidden little angle that the body has. And I just want you to welcome this moment of stillness. Stillness can be so uncomfortable for a lot of us, but we're in a time in life where we're being forced to be still, and I just want you to honor that. If you hear some noises in the back, I have a 5-year-old and I have two dogs. So they walk around and talk, and well, my dogs don't talk, but it'd be cool if they did. Anyway, again, I will be editing in the image of the three cards. That way you can pause it and really just take your time with it. And it'll be a still image, so you can just kind of really, I guess, feel it. I want you to really feel what it is that you're selecting and really allow your intuition to guide you into that. So even if you need to pause the video with the still image, and because especially because I have some background noise, my son is coughing over there and whatnot, take that moment to pause it. Take your deep breath in, ground yourself. I want you to feel the oxygen flowing in through every corner of your body, but also into the feet. And almost imagine that you have these roots coming from the feet and then that are going and like driving themselves into the earth so that you are fully grounded in this experience, okay? Be very open minded to what you may hear today. If it resonates, then obviously this is for you. This is going to be a timeless reading. So at whatever point you are tuned into this, this will be for you at that time. But also, if it doesn't resonate, this may not be the one for you, and that is okay. So let's get started. If you chose the first pile, then you will have chosen the amethyst. And I'm using an inner child's indie deck. I will link that below, especially with the artist. She is doing her thing. She's not mass market at all, but the card stock is wonderful. I really love her artwork. I'm also using the Numinous Tarot for a little astrological insight. And I'm using Tarot of 1001 Nights, which has a very Arabian folklore vibe. I'm sure the images were taken from Arabian folklore, excuse me. Okay, so if you chose pile number one, the first card is going to be from the Inner Child's Oracle deck. And so, also to note, before we even begin with these three piles, I I want to say that for each pile, I really meditated before selecting these cards on what are the hidden aspects that you're not seeing? What may be in the underbelly of your work? What is the shadowy aspect of your work that you may not be focused on that you need to be focused on in order to proceed? So I really would say that this is a very like a shadow work reading, but it's also a reading of like what are your blind spots? Okay, and there are some light cards in here. The first two I'm going to talk about are going to be about shadow work related or underbelly, like things that like blind spot related. And then the second two are going to be kind of lighter aspects, or at least that's what I meditated on to get a combination of both. Okay, so the first card is the Virtue, and the card says it is the card. This is an oracle deck that I found on Etsy actually. Very beautiful artwork. And so we see here a ship sailing on clouds, and the key word is the virtues: sacrifice, steadfastness, and wisdom. There are many things in life that we feel we should not have to do, but we must be careful of what we place in this category, for maturity often lies on the other side. So today, try to do one thing that maybe you should not have to do. um and then, okay, so being that this is a boat on a cloud, I get, and then we see the universe behind it, and we see dragonflies, which are a really great spiritual symbol of transformation coming, or being divinely guided. I definitely see that for the first pile, and in getting the virtue card, and with that virtue card saying like sacrifice, steadfastness, and wisdom, like feeling like we don't have to do things, kind of like having this attitude of like, why should I get a lot of victim mentality, or a lot of like, a lot of what is the word I'm looking for? Maybe not necessarily as strong as victim mentality, but maybe even a sense of entitlement, a sense of I am beyond this, I am above this. Why is this the kind of work that I have to be doing? But you've been doing that to something that's actually necessary for you to either physically do or even put your mind to do. So since we get the boat and we get the clouds, we have an air element and we have a water element. And this is like really having the knowledge and the willpower and the strength to emotion to kind of feel it out emotionally and intuitively, so you can dig in deeper and head, like actually physically move throughout the journey that you're supposed to. And there's a lot of like this, almost like I think of the journey card in a lot of ways. It's like almost like your perspectives are holding you back from digging into that emotional realm, and there's something there that you need to let go of, right? So even if it's about when you kind of think of yourself, you think about, maybe I don't have shadow aspects that I want to work on. I feel like I'm in a good place. I feel like there's an avoidance of emotional work, actually. So let's pull the numinous. This is seventh house, relating, partnerships, companionship, equilibrium, balance, social awareness, communion, even marriage. So I see the scales here. We see partners here. We see some flowers back there, and obviously the number seven, how you relate to others. So maybe there's some like need to make peace with somebody. Maybe there's some need to step out of your comfort zone and accept that you might have been wrong about something, or accept that even if you were not wrong about something, that sometimes it's okay to be the bigger person, and not the bigger person in walking away, but the bigger person in saying, I want to understand you. I want to understand what is going on. I feel like we are at a disconnect, and I want to kind of resolve that disconnect. And this is more than like whether you were right or you were wrong, but there might be a little bit of conflict in the way, which is disallowing you to step into that space where you are in a space where you want to create peace and harmony, okay? Seven is also a number of like higher intuition, tapping into spirituality, being guided divinely. And again, which is, we have the virtue, we have this ship floating on the cloud. So you've been really thinking about this for a while, but you are not sure if you should step into it. There's a sense of pride that I get. Like, I should not be the person to have to do this. This is not for me. I didn't fuck this up. So I'm not going to be the one that steps up either, because I feel owed. There's that sense of entitlement. But you're being asked to do the work because it's going to probably ease things along, and you might get a really great result from that. Um, so then we have, very interesting. We have the Knight of Swords, and then we have the King of Pentacles. But both of these are in reverse for you. So these are how they look upright, and I will just give you a minute to really like look at those. Knight of Swords, King of Pentacles, but for you, they're in reverse, both of them. Okay. So Knight of Swords is air on air energy. So air on air being, again, somebody who is very smart, very like likes to intellectualize. Not just that, likes to collect information, likes to plan ahead, does not like to like jump into things. But this energy, and also the knight being somebody who has a false confidence, somebody who feels like they're always right about things, and also like, I've collected the information, I wrote everything down, like I made my list and I know that I did the right thing. But actually you're being very stubborn, and the way you're thinking about a situation is holding you back, and you need to let go of your pride. You have a sense of confidence that is actually not adequate in this situation, because you really need to fall in line with the person that's going to try to harmonize. This is also with a King of Pentacles, which is earth and fire. And earth and fire are really powerful because they have this ability to really create and manifest, but you are not creating the changes or manifesting the changes. There's also a high masculine energy involved in your reading right now. So it's definitely like something needs to physically be happening to move things, but you're not wanting to move things. You are in fact not operating from the emotional space. You're very much operating from the Leo the lion. You're very much operating from the air, right? I don't know why I said Leo the lion, but it just rings so true for me right now. Like I just feel like Leo, Leo, Leo. When is Leo season? Is that August? um I think that might be August. So I don't know if it's like conflict in August or just needing that fire energy or needing the bravery of Leo the lion, um, or resolution in August or planning a trip for August or whatever the case might be. But I just get fire and Leo and being very stubborn. I get that you're being very stubborn and that your pride, or maybe Leo having pride, the pride of a lion, right? Like maybe kind of like having so much pride in the emotional center that it's kind of creating, or kind of having a lot of pride in the mental center, right? That it's kind of creating the space where you're like not allowing yourself to connect to that seventh house harmonizing, but also the number seven, not allowing yourself to connect to the number seven, which is that spirituality, that intuition, being divinely guided. You are being called to create resolution, is what I get. And you don't want to do it because you feel like you're so right, but actually, and you might be right, but there's this pride and this sense of kind of like this false, again, this like false confidence, where actually what benefits you and what is more becoming of you is to take a step back and actually create a very like I think that you need a little humility, or you need to be humble. That's what I get. You need to calm down and humble yourself up, and that's okay. Again, this is a reading about shadow work. So it's definitely about areas of your life that you're not realizing, or like shadow work and blind spots. So areas of your life that you may not be realizing need some guidance and assistance right now. Your pride is causing you to disconnect from people, or even from experiences. You are putting yourself above, you're leveling yourself up. And you know what? That is not bad. And it's not to say that you are not that valuable or you're not that worthy, but you're creating this disconnect where there doesn't have to be a disconnect. And it's causing you to miss out on things that are actually meant for you. So even if it's like career wise, taking a step back so that you can take a couple of steps forward, don't be the person that feels too proud to do that, or just feels like, well, this is beneath my pay grade, I refuse to do it, blah, blah, blah. Like the reality is that your services are needed, your compassion is needed, your love is needed, your kindness is needed, but your intelligence is also needed. So, that intelligence that moves you to pride, use that in order to enhance your relationships and harmonize your relationships, not just with other people, but with the world around you. So, don't put yourself in a position, because I also feel the ego stepping in and saying, well, I don't think I'm better than anybody, so this doesn't relate to me. It's not an obvious, like, it's not this obvious thinking that you're better than everybody attitude where there's people that really walk very ego driven. It's almost like this silent pride, like you've really worked hard to get to where you're at. And so it kind of would be silly for you to take steps back. But also on top of that, it's this sense of having put in the work and the energy to know the things that you know. But you have not put in as much work as you think that you have. There's a lot, you've got a lot, wait, like a long journey ahead of you. And that is okay. All of life is a journey. So I feel like this card, this spread is asking you to find a way to find humility. Find a way to dig deeper into your compassion and be less cerebral. You're being asked to move from the head space to the heart space, okay? I think that's the biggest component. Whether this fully resonates with you or not, I think that if you can take away anything from this, it's please move in from the head space to the heart space. You are being too cerebral, you are being too analytical, you are being too logical, and you're not harmonizing with the spaces around you because you're not functioning from a heart space. Now, if you can find a balance between the two of them, which is where the seventh and the Libra and the finding partnership and balance comes in, it can be finding partnership in your dualistic nature, right? In the operating from here, operating from there. It doesn't have to be one or the other. This is the next step in your journey, to find a way to balance out the head space and the heart space. I really feel for you that when you step into that space of finding that balance, you're going to find your relationships to people, your experiences, the things that you experience around you, you're going to find that they just flow way more easily, and that life is just flowing towards you, and that you're just gaining much more out of your experiences, and it kind of will connect you deeper. Okay, so you're being asked to connect deeper. Um, for journal prompts, I want you to ask yourself, where is it that I close myself off? Where can I afford to put more love into? What parts of myself do I tend to over conceptualize or over intellectualize? Um, are there any areas of my life that I feel that I am above other things? I want you to have a very honest conversation with yourself. Do I refuse to forgive? Am I capable of forgiving? Do I um do I separate from my emotions? Do I deny myself the ability to feel? I mean, these are the types of journal prompts that are coming up for you right now. Again, shadow work is never easy work. What they don't tell you is that the healing hurts more than the hurting. And sometimes it's not something major to heal. Sometimes it's not this traumatic experience that we have to heal from. But as we go through life, we pick up habits and we become mentally conditioned, right? There's a conditioning that happens from societal expectation, from the way that we are raised, from all of these different experiences that we have. This kind of conditioning and how we operate tends to come into play. And we in shadow work are being asked to break out of that conditioning so that we can tap into our deeper, deeper, deeper selves. Okay. And so part of what you're doing, my dear, is you're separating the heart space from the head space, and you're being called to find balance. So you can also journal about, where can I find more balance in my life? Where can I show more compassion in my life? Okay. That is all for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. If this reading resonates with you, please like the video and subscribe, or follow me on Instagram, sasha.pez, and I will link that all in the description box below. Take care. Pile number 2. If you are at this point in the video, it's because you have selected pile number 2. That should look familiar to you. All right, pile number 2. Let's see what energies we have. The chain breaker. Freedom, indignation, and justice. Judgments that have been placed upon us by ourselves or by others to shackle us, stealing our joy and our will to live. Take time today to remove these judgments, choosing not to believe the lies they tell. A judgment is not the truth. There is it looks almost like a sword. I wonder if these are eagles or ravens. Ravens are, and there's that big circle, right, of oneness, right? It's time for you to step out of the illusion of judgment, which is a huge illusion. We live a lot of our lives. We tend to judge everything. We judge others. We judge ourselves. We judge how we feel. We even label feelings like positive and negative instead of using them as a guidance system. So I'm so interested to see what your pile has to say today. So we have the 9th house, which is seeking. It says spiritual quest, aspirations, religion, journalism, pilgrimages, customs, faith, risk taking. I always think of the number 9 as nearing completion, but not fully there yet. You are on a journey, and you've been on the journey for a while. And on the journey, you've possibly picked up a lot of self-judgment, a lot of things that you like. Okay, so here's the deal. With judgment comes a lot of contrast. So you get a big idea of how you want your life to be, but you get also a big idea of how you don't want your life to be. And I think that for you, this is again a shadow working reading, a blind spot reading. Your judgments of yourself are shaping your perceptions, and you are not tapping into your worth. You are blocking yourself from what you are truly worth because you are so hard on yourself. But not just that you are blocking yourself, you are actually also blocking the quest. You're blocking the step forward. This is a blind spot reading again. So you are like, your self imposed judgments you tend to project them outward onto other people. And the only way that we have the capacity to judge other people so harshly is how we judge ourselves. If we have the capacity to judge ourselves and we are a harsh critic of ourselves, then we're going to be a harsh critic of other people, which means people are not going to want to be around us. They're not going to invite us on that journey with us. I feel like you're missing a sense of community for you, my dear. Spiritual quests can tend to be lonely, can tend to be very like, you know, one person on this journey, but you can also develop a tribe around you. And I feel that you have been such a harsh critic of other people that you almost feel like truly not connected on a deeper level the way that you should be. Okay. Um, we also get higher education and faith and beliefs. Okay. So this again, ninth house, card number 9. We have the camel here, passport here, money here, mountains. We have some leaves here. And the reality of this card is really like you're wanting to tap in deeper. So you probably have come to this reading because you're looking for the answer of how you can move in deeper into your practice. And you've got to move in by not judging you, but also not judging the process. I get that you are somebody who likes to judge the process. I've done good, I've not done good, I took a couple steps back, I took a couple steps forward. I get that there's a little bit of ego involved in how you are going about your spiritual journey. And there's a lot of judgment about religion. There's a lot of ego and judgment, maybe about the spiritual journey, maybe not wanting to accept the fact that you are on a spiritual journey, whether you believe so or not. Maybe saying that's too woo woo. I don't know how to do that, or I would never, or, I don't know. The inner voice tends to have a lot of chatter. So, what you might accept from others, you don't accept from yourself. You like to critique yourself very harshly. You are quite the perfectionist. It's time to step away from that because it's holding you back from having an honest relationship with yourself, but it's also holding you back from being able to tap into your feelings as a way to guide you through the spiritual journey. Okay. We have Temperance and we have Queen of Wands. And I will put these up here so you can kind of take a good look at them for a little second. And they're both upright and they're both really beautiful cards. So in this journey, this spiritual journey that you have embarked on, we get card 14 for Temperance, 1 and 4 meaning 5, and 5 is also a number of journeys, travel, philosophy, breaking tradition. So you are on a journey where you should not be following the traditional path. And maybe that causes you to judge yourself. Maybe you come, or hear me out, maybe you're coming from a space that is quite judgmental, right? Like people have put judgments onto you that you have started to believe, or people have conditioned your judgments so that you could conditioned you to have these judgments. So I get a sense of maybe like religious dogmatism, and then being told that on your spiritual journey, what you're doing is evil, what you're doing is dark, what you're doing is bad. God will save you. Oh my goodness! Or having to almost be secretive. I get this element of being secretive. But we have Temperance, and Temperance is really a beautiful card that wants to guide you, but it's also bringing. I want to say. It brings a lot of peace to the querent, brings a lot of peace to the seeker. Is a card Temperance is a card that talks about being patient through the process and trying to be understanding through the process. It's like a card of non-judgment, actually. It's a card that sees you and that wants to guide you and that connects this like intuition and higher spiritual ability to the process. And it says, I see you and I feel you and I harmonize with you and I want to bring this peace to your everyday experience. What you are doing is non-traditional. You are stepping out. Temperance is 15, number 14, but 1 and 4 making 5, right? And so 5 being the one that breaks the foundation, that breaks dogmatism, that breaks through the normal structure because you want to build more. You want something more for yourself. And you're being asked to be very patient and to breathe through the transitions and to try not to judge yourself through the process because it's going to get dark and it's going to get sticky and it's going to get uncomfortable. And people might look in and tell you that what you're doing is wrong and bad, but you're being urged to continue. Don't listen to that. You don't have to take that on. You don't have to take other people's judgments on. They are not for you. They're not for you. Their judgments are a projection of how they view themselves. So here's an important thing for you to know, that what other people think and feel and say about you is what they think and feel and say also about themselves. And this is also going for you. Most, in fact, all things in life are not personal. People can only see and interact and meet you from where they are at. Now, if you're on the same energy wave with somebody, then that is beautiful. But sometimes, and most of the time, that's not the case. And so when people are giving us their input and their information, sometimes it doesn't resonate. And it may cause us to question ourselves and our own beliefs and our own path. But you need to like stay the course. You're being asked to stay the course. I also have the Queen of Wands here for you. The Queen of Wands, I love the Queen of Wands. So queens are of water and wands are of fire, and they kind of neutralize one another. And I get that she is very yang. She has a lot of external power and energy, but she's also quite receptive, because queens are receptive in nature because they represent the water element. So when you put water with fire, they neutralize each other, but then it's also almost like they draw people in, right? Um, and I think of this like this person, and this might be you. I feel like this might be you. This person is kind of like the life of the party, the go-to. Everybody wants to be around this person. They have a very powerful, strong energy. And water can be compassionate and nurturing, but fire is a go-getter. And fire is going to put themselves out there. They are all about expansion and reaching outward, and they're also about health and healing and taking care of the physical body. So you have a couple of things here that are leading you to yourself, but that are also asking you to stop neglecting yourself in a very I feel like you neglect yourself by being hard on yourself. And so there's also this form of like overdoing. You overdo exercise, you overdo like diet, you overdo your work ethic because you feel that I get that, like if you feel that you need to reach perfection, and you're never going to reach it because it doesn't exist. And so she's reminding you of your power, but she's also reminding you of your limitations, because water and fire, they neutralize each other. So even though this is a powerful card, this is also a card that checks you and asks you to stay in balance. That tells you that there's no way to reach perfection. She is very intuitive and emotional by nature because she is water, but she's also powerful. And this is a reminder how water, the softness of water, can still shape mountains. Soften up to yourself, because you can still shape mountains. Your judgment is not needed for the journey. And you've been really struggling with that, and you are very much so a perfectionist. And I feel like when you're by yourself, you're harder on yourself. But when you're with other people, you're good. You're good to go. You're putting on that front. Everybody want to be with you. And that's dope. That's awesome. That's super fire. But actually, right now, it's almost like you feel like you can't not be that person, because if you were not that person, how would everybody else see you? Take time to yourself. It's time to step away from being that people pleaser. Maybe you are a bit of a people pleaser. It's time to step away from that. So for you, your journal prompts are going to be, what are the subconscious ways that I judge myself and judge others? And how is my judgment of myself and others preventing me from progressing in my path? What are some things that that I was taught about myself that are not true? What are some things that do not resonate with me? What are some ways that I'm agitating other people? Um, and that even could be with by living out your truth, but you're being asked to live out your truth no matter what anybody thinks, no matter what you might even think. I think that maybe your truth might confuse you at first, and you might be saying, I don't know. But I feel like this is a reminder to be like, no, you're heading in the right direction. You're heading in the right direction. Do not judge the journey. You do not know all. You are not the judge of the journey. But I just get also this like really powerful badass energy that you're going to continue and you're going to push forward. Be patient on the journey with yourself. Do not rush the journey. The Temperance card is a reminder too that as structures change, that as things change, you are definitely being divinely guided. You are definitely stepping in the right direction. And peace and harmony and love and compassion are going to come from stepping in that direction, and they will soften your preconceived notions of yourself, because you are just stronger and more powerful than you imagine yourself to be. And it's time to really step into that worthiness. So if this resonates with you, please like, please subscribe, but also stay the course. I have a great feeling for you. This again is a shadow working through pick a card reading, and this is also like a blind spot pick a card reading. Like, what is it that you may not be seeing that might be holding you back from progressing in your journey? And so for you, it's about a lot about judgment of self, or like things that maybe we've been hearing about ourselves that may not be true, that are affecting the way that we view ourselves and experience the world around us. Um, and I also, again, religion and structures come into play, and like breaking through traditional structures to get to the next, to get to the other side, to get to the next step. But I just ask you to be calm and be patient throughout the journey. I feel very optimistic for you, and I kind of feel very excited for you. But take a deep breath. Now is the time to take a deep breath and do some internal inventory and see where it is that you might be picking up things that do not serve you. I feel like you might have picked up some things along the way that are not serving you, and it could be from childhood, it can be from family, it can be from friends that maybe you're not vibing with anymore, and that's okay. It's okay to, like, everything has a season. The direction that you're going requires you to find oneness with yourself and find a lot of self acceptance. That is the big key word. You need some self acceptance right now, and you do not have self acceptance. I get that there may be some things in the past that you might judge yourself for that you feel like define your character, but they do not. Whether you have been fucked up in the past, whatever the case, whatever might have happened, that is not your truth. You get to rewrite your story every day that you wake up. So it's time for you to rewrite your story and decide on a narrative that helps you to grow and move forward in life. I hope this resonates, because if it does, that is an awesome, I feel like that is an awesome thing. Like, you got some, it's very hopeful. I feel I'm very optimistic that there's an opportunity, a real good opportunity here to find self acceptance, and that goes a really long way. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you so much. Take care. Loves, if you picked pile 3, you picked the citrine. Again, just a friendly reminder that this reading is about shadow work. This reading is about the blind spots that you may not be seeing that are preventing you from moving forward. So the first card we got is the Cosmos, and the Cosmos is about tapping into the mysteries of the universe and kind of heading in the direction of boundlessness. But it's being pulled back by Saturn. And Saturn is about restriction and restraint and having discipline. It's almost like saying, where there are boundaries, they are necessary for you. What boundaries are popping up in your life that you are ignoring, and you are trying to step into this boundlessness, where actually Saturn is kind of trying to check you. You've been like running free. And that is okay, and it serves a purpose. It allows you to kind of exercise the ability to expand and be adventurous and be courageous in your pursuits. But Saturn is saying that you need a little bit of discipline, and that might be an area of your life that you're ignoring. You might not be approaching things from a disciplined perspective or a disciplined standpoint. You might be thinking that the boundaries that are coming as you are moving forward in your pursuits, in your studies, in your passions, and in your goals, there may be boundaries that are coming forward that are dissuading you, that are, you feel like, are kind of like pushing you. Well, then that doesn't serve me, then that's not for me. But actually, what you're being told in this reading is that's for you. The boundaries are going to help you to grow. Not only is it important to like learn how to step out of tradition, and like to step away from dogmatism, but it's also important to know what restraints are necessary for your growth. I think about this: with constraint comes creativity. So I get that for you. With constraint, you're going to actually be expanding inward. You've been doing a lot of outward expansion, and now it's time for you to expand inward by seeing what you're actually made of. There's also, it's so funny because from Cosmos, this is probably where you're at, but this is probably where you need to be, which is Saturn, which is a very grounding card. It's funny that it's Saturn, but it feels very down to earth. It really feels like it's pulling you back to reality and asking you to check where it is that you've been ignoring. Check the things that are important for you, that you have responsibilities to, that you have actually been ignoring. You've really been kind of on this like outward expansion spiral, and that is such a beautiful journey. But you need to combine it. Like, you can't just be so airy and in this like ether and in this like spiritual realm, but not have any groundedness to you, because it's almost like those thoughts fly you away, and then you're not able to manifest, which is what we see in the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. You also have 10 of chalices in reverse, 10 of cups in reverse. I'll hold these here for you so you can get a good look at them. Um, so you have Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Ace usually is the number of beginning, and then you have 10, which is a number of endings, but also new beginnings. 10 and 1 are interesting, especially when they are together, because 10 is just 1 with 0, which is kind of all encompassing. It kind of amplifies the number 1. It gives energy to the number 1. The number 1 in itself is energized as well because it is a number that is moving forward. I feel like 1 is very yang. 1 is something that is like, okay, now we go, we move forward, we progress, we start. There's a lot of energy and excitement. And when you have the pentacles, it's really about the earthly plane. It's really about coming back down to earth to bring something into the physical space where you manifest. So this is maybe like having grounded ideas for you to bring forward into the world, maybe goal oriented or planning these goals, or wanting to put in the work. I get like pentacles being very work oriented, a willingness to work, a willingness to work for what it is that you want. But it's less passion and fulfillment driven and more material gain driven. So that's where I would say Pentacles and Fire really differs, where Fire is about being fulfilled and growing and expanding within your passions, but being able to bring that into the material world. Pentacles is really going to be about putting in the hard work no matter what it takes, even if it's not something that you're passionate about or feel fulfilled about. But Ace being new beginning, it's like kind of seeking that stability. It's saying, here's this journey that we're going on, and we are embarking from the beginning on this new journey together. And it's going to be beautiful, it's going to be wonderful, and we're going to be able to manifest something awesome right now. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to do that. Except you're not. You don't want to work hard. And this is what your blind spot is saying, that it's going to take work, that you have started on a new journey, that you have the potential to begin this journey. And you're only on this journey because you just ended a journey. And you have the 10 of Cups, which is usually a card that talks. I feel like 10 of Cups is usually like feeling very emotionally fulfilled and satisfied, and almost like having this celebratory, or like having like the family around you. So Cups is not just emotional and intuitive, it's also compassionate and empathetic, and it likes to share, it likes to absorb, it likes to bring everything with it, right? Memory has the water has memory. But the 10 of Cups in reverse is saying that it maybe feels a little bit lonesome for you. You've completed a journey that maybe doesn't feel fulfilling, maybe doesn't have that emotional aspect where you feel like things have gone the way that you wanted them to go. And you're not really willing. You feel like, well, that was a fluke and I don't want to continue forward. I don't want to start something new. It won't be the same. And also those restraints that created this lack of fulfillment on this journey, whatever it was that blocked that feeling of success, that didn't come along with it, that didn't come with like the sense of the growing family, the sense of emotional satisfaction, the sense of deep intuitive fulfillment, of feeling like you were on track for the right thing. It's almost like you felt that way, and then you got to the end and you were like, I've been misled. This isn't what I thought it was at all. Um, and so maybe there's now this fear, and you are like, I've got to run far the other way. Everything that I put in, all that hard work, and like feeling like I was using my intuition and being guided emotionally and following my feelings, that hasn't led to anything. But Saturn, I feel like really is the blind spot for you, where it's saying, hey, get to it. We got it. You got hurt. We got it. It wasn't fulfilling. We got it. It wasn't what you thought it was. But that was for a reason, because I'm pulling you back. I'm giving you a reality check, that it's great that you were functioning in your emotional and intuitive side. It's great that you wanted all this compassion and energy. You've got things to manifest though. You're not willing to put in the hard work. You want the reward without putting in the work. And you can't have, as you see, you can't have the reward without putting in the work. You've got to do it. So this reading, this for you, is telling you that you need to get back down to earth. Your journey is a beautiful journey, like everybody else's is a beautiful journey, but it doesn't come without the work. And so for you, especially, that could even be very much so shadow work, aspects of yourself that you're completely ignoring. You want to feel like you've done all this spiritual work or this physical work. I really get kind of earth plane, physical. You're being pulled back down to earth, but you haven't actually done the work. You're not actually willing to do it either. You feel like you don't have to, or that you've already done it, and so why do I have to keep doing it? But you put your energy in the wrong direction, and you just got to take it for what it was. It's okay. It was a lesson, and it served a great purpose for you. And one of the main purposes was redirection. Now you've been redirected. You don't have to judge the feelings that come with, okay, well, that didn't work out for me. You don't have to be like, well, now I do nothing. Now I don't want to put in any, like, I don't want to do anything. Why should I work for that? You're being told that actually you need to work for it. It's not going to come for free. You need to be very disciplined. You want to put something physical into the world, but it comes from a lot of spiritual work. Like, you have to do the spiritual work in order to get the physical material gain. And they come hand in hand. There needs to be a balanced approach. You can't be so far into the spiritual woo woo world that you're like, you know what, I'm going to manifest with my thought. Okay, but that doesn't just come from thought. Your thoughts have to align with your actions. If your thoughts are not aligning with your actions, then you're just thinking. You can pray all you want, but you're just thinking. I mean, even when you do rituals, there's a physical ritual, there's the prayer that goes with it, and then there's kind of like aligning your energy to be able to take the action necessary. Um, you have great aspirations for yourself, and I feel that you've been embarked on a spiritual journey. I feel that you really have. And maybe you want to do something, you want to put something in the physical world that is spiritually related. And maybe it's like starting a career in the spiritual path. There's astrology, maybe being an astrologist, maybe it's learning the moon cycles, maybe it's creating a blog or a journal about it, maybe it's a YouTube channel, maybe it's creating your own oracle deck, maybe it's whatever it is. It's time for you to actually physically put in the physical work. It's great that you have these beautiful ideas and they have served you, and they are powerful ideas, and you're very expansive in the emotional realm. But the emotional realm in and of itself is not going to give you the physical gain. And so these two things need to marry. You do need to find a balance with spirit and body, and you feel like you only need to operate from spirit and it's like the soul side. And that is a great space to operate. But I get for you that you're kind of out of balance. You need to be okay in your physical body. You need to be okay with tapping into the physical body and everything that the physical body is capable of doing. I get that you have been putting in a lot of energy and work on the spiritual side, and I think that that's really wonderful. It's definitely served you and it's definitely guided you, but you've also been redirected to say, okay, now how does this all manifest in the physical world? But it starts with you getting out of being all the way up here. So you actually really need some grounding. I would focus now, if you want to use your spiritual work to take the next step, I would focus on grounding. I would focus on grounding exercises. I would focus on grounding prayer. I would focus on grounding color, grounding foods. I mean, warm, spicy, um, maybe even fibrous. I get root vegetables, right? Like eating root vegetables, eating red things, wearing red, root chakra meditation, root chakra sounds, root chakra yoga. I get kundalini. I also get kundalini rising for you. You need to connect down here to up there, and that means the snake needs to rise and they need to meet, right? And that takes a lot of work. It's a very serious practice. I would always recommend going in with a very like established practitioner. But I also like, maybe this is a world that you want to explore business wise, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not doing what it takes. And I think that you needed to get this reality check. This is the blind spot. You feel like if you only operate in the spiritual realm, that it'll happen for you. You feel like if you only expand your ideas out there, that it'll happen for you. But you're being redirected to come in here and really work from this space, the physical body. Get your feet on the ground, get your hands on the dirt, like get your hands in the dirt. I see you. You need to get your hands in the dirt. I don't know why I keep saying that, but that's important for you. I don't know if you're going to be working with plants. I don't know if you're going to be doing plant medicine. Maybe that is what you're going to be doing. I kind of get plant medicine, herbalism. I don't know, but all of those restraints and all of those things that you feel like are not for you, that you are beyond, they're coming to you for a reason, and it's a repeated cycle with you. You're constantly like people are trying to put restraints on you, maybe not people but systems or whatever, whether it's school, whether it's this, whether it's that, whether it's you need to get certified to do this, whatever it is, whether it's like you need to actually work with people, you need to give me the money for me to be able to do that. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that it is that you need to kind of combine that spiritual realm with the physical realm. So for you, my friends, your journal prompts are going to be, where do I lack restraint? What is it that I need to put energy towards? What can my body physically accomplish? What is within my power to do now? Where am I putting too much external energy? Um, Let me see. Where has discipline served me? What am I being redirected towards? What is something I need to let go of? How can I find ways to ground myself? What methods of grounding work for me? Um, I feel like if you can get out into Mother Nature and put your feet and your hands on the ground and sit there for a little bit and ask these questions and journal. If that's possible, it may not be possible for you at this time in life. How do I bring my spiritual practice into the physical world? Show me. Like, write it down. I want you to write as you do this. Like, what is it that I need to do to put my passion into the world? What is it that I need to do in order to feel fulfilled? What is it that I physically need to do in order to reach a space of fulfillment? Um, yeah, this one, I don't know if it was cut short or not, but I feel like it's very to the point, and everything here is kind of pointing to the same exact thing, which is like needing to actually physically do the work. And then getting the 10 and getting the 1 put together, and it's just like 1 being amplified and being like, it's almost like you have a new beginning and you just had an ending that was not as fulfilling as it should have been, because there's been a lot of spiritual work. There's been maybe a lot of this like upper element, this emotional, intuitive element, and there's not been enough of the actual physical element. And so you didn't actually come to a space where you feel like things have come to fruition in a full way where you feel fulfilled. And there's the possibility to gain that fulfillment. And you are embarking on a new level of this journey where that spiritual purpose served itself. And now you bring the spiritual purpose. You don't just ditch it, you have a whole practice, like go for it. But you bring that spirituality into the physical space, and then you have a whole nice balanced picture. So you are being prompted to harmonize with that energy. I hope that resonates for you. If it does, please feel free to like and subscribe and leave any comments if you have any questions, if you have any ideas of what it is that you want to talk about next. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.